for this a long time!
Hello everybody, I am Baltmatrix, and today we are taking a look at Transformers Legacy Motormaster! Okay, wait, not that one. That one. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we have Legacy Motormaster in all his tractor-trailer glory. Yes, he is a tractor-trailer, and it is very reminiscent of his original appearance in the Gen 1 TV show and toy. More the show, less the toy. Now, the figure is two different components. We have the cab and the trailer, both of which can disconnect. The trailer does not have anything that flips down and allows it to stand on its own, which is fine, I guess. And I seem to be one of the lucky ones. I got a figure that is, well, free of most of the issues. The way to tell if your figure is going to have issues is look at the back of the box, look at the very bottom, and there is a physical stamp right there, all the way at the bottom, that shows the bin number. Now my number, even though it's not showing up on camera, is 21151, which on TFW 2005 isn't even listed, so mine's a good one, quote unquote. I don't appear to have any of the yellowing or odd discoloration that some folks are having. The only issue I have has to do with these rear wheels. They do not peg in, they are super flimsy, and feel like they're going to break at any point, but that seems to be par for the course for every single Motormaster, not just the ones that have problems. I love the amount of movement that the trailer offers Motormaster. He can do a full jackknife if he wants to, and it works really well. It rolls pretty darn well, except, the rear wheels still have an issue. Now, I would have loved right here if they could have continued the purple streak, but I understand why not. This plastic right here is that weird polymer that is nearly impossible to paint, so they just didn't bother. I'm okay with that now that I know that. Many folks have stated that they don't like the look because of the short trailer. I'm fine with it. It really is fine. Yeah, the original G1 character had a longer trailer, but if this is what they had to do, or if this is what we have to quote-unquote sacrifice for a good figure, I'm fine with it. Yes, there are trailers that are this length. Yes, Motormaster would probably have a gigantic trailer, more along the lines of what he has with, I believe it's the DX9 version, has the absolutely ridiculously big trailer. But this is fine, and the trailer itself looks fine. I love the Decepticon symbol here, and these areas that are sticking out up above. My headcanon just tells me they're air conditioning units, or lasers, or both. The trailer could be compatible with Optimus Prime's mold if the actual peg was a little farther back. Unfortunately, it doesn't even reach the peg, but it does kind of work, even though the cab looks a little tiny. It doesn't work at all with CW Motormaster. The peg is just too big for the little hitch hole in the back, and that doesn't scale correctly for some reason. Having 3 cab units here really gives you a sense of scale for Motormaster. The original Optimus Prime mold that we have for Earthrise works, but it feels small, especially compared to Motormaster, who's absolutely gigantic. I mean, comparatively. And then you have whatever the heck the Combiner Wars truck mode or cab mode is supposed to be. It works for Motormaster, but it never actually felt dark enough because of all the gray. I always wanted it to be black. Well, wish granted. Thank you, Transformers Legacy. The cab mode itself looks great. I like it a lot, except for 2 things. One, I don't like this random white back here. It works for the robot mode, though, so I forgive it. The other is, well, the back is really wobbly and kind of open. There's nothing filling in the back here, but with the trailer, it covers it up most of the time. And those are obviously the arms, and then the rear of the vehicle mode is back here. And it's just kind of wobbly and twitchy, and the arms don't peg in the best. They do peg in with a bit of force, but I've had to sand down one of the arm pegs just a smidge in order for it to seat properly. Otherwise, it's pretty good. Transformation-wise, we're going to start with the trailer. Come to the front and literally grab the entire front of the trailer and pull it apart. Then we can unpeg the sword and put that off to the side. Now that the sword is out of the way, come to the top and flip these sections up from the front, split them apart and flay them out. And then take this entire middle section or front section and put it off to the side. And this entire section will collapse down like so, and pegged together to form a cannon. Oops, forgot one hinge. This whole section will open up like that and stand it up, and that's pretty much all she wrote. Come to the rest of the trailer, grab the top and the bottom and pull them apart. Then the bottom parts will split apart. These form the arms in combiner mode, and then they'll form, I can't remember what, in the base mode. And then come to the top of the trailer and split it apart. And there will be a center point, which will become the big arse gun. And then the other parts will be forming the pylons in base mode and the legs in combiner mode. For each one of these sections, just kind of flip out the toe and then flip around the base, and that's it. Do the same thing on the other side. That's all you need to do. For the front of the trailer mode, ratchet out the laser cannon sections, take the entire top, spin it around 180 degrees, and fold up that purple bit, and that's it. That's all you do. Grab your tower, and that tower will peg into these little slots that are underneath what is obviously going to be Menassor's chest piece. So they will peg in like that, and that's pretty much it right there. You just plop it down like that. Now for the bottom parts, first come to the sides and fold down the sides, and then fold them up to collapse them up like so. Then grab the arms and bend them in like that. Flip them around, and these sections will peg into the bottom of, or the back of the chest component like that. And then we'll just take a leg and peg it in to the little peg hole down there. And that's it. Repeat it on the other side. Finally, take the gun and plop it on top and split open the handles, and we are dunesies. That's it. That's all she wrote. Now, Motormaster's actual transformation is a bit more complex than what we just went through with the base. Turn the figure around and come to the roof, and then unpeg the roof sections on the back, and then fold them out. With those sides folded out, take the roofs and fold them down, and they will peg into place. Come to the very top of the vehicle mode and unpeg the big purple sections, like so, and then swing them all the way forward, and these holes just underneath the wind screens, they will get pegged into. Just be wary, these come unpegged all the time. No matter how far you push them in, during the course of this transformation, they will come unpegged. Grab the front of the trailer, split it apart, and then flip up the knees until they come up all the way, like that. With the legs split open, come down to the front wheels, fold the front wheels underneath, take the front grille, push it in towards the middle, spin it around 180 degrees, and then put it back in place. Repeat on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4. And stand the figure up. Come to the back of each leg, fold in the first door with the Decepticon symbol, fold that whole section in, and it will peg into place. Grab the roof section and bring it down to the side of the legs, and peg it in. So fold, fold, peg in place, turn, fold, peg in place. And that's the legs. For the chest and the upper torso, grab the sections that are obviously the arms, push them out, flip them around, and snap them into place. So push it out from underneath, flip it around, the shoulder that is, snap that into place. Grab the rear tires and flip them up, bring them over the robot head, and bend the connector port down a little bit so you can get clearance, and snap it into place, and then flip open the forearms and flip out the hands. The robot mode we end up with is an absolute looker. It looks so good in my opinion. That's not to say it's perfect, but I love the way this thing looks. Those white arms really do pop, and that head sculpt is immaculate. That glossy purple that they've used for the paint works incredibly well. Now, there are a few oddities. The first oddity has to do with the arms. They are black casted plastic painted white. I think they look good, but it's very strange that they went this route. Maybe that's because of the necessary strength they needed. They had to use a dark plastic and then paint it white. Thankfully, mine doesn't have too many paint chips. There are a few, though, but it's not too bad. The other oddity is the backpack. It's just kind of sitting there. I would have loved if it could fold up a little bit more, but it can't. Oh well. Also, he has no head up and down movement. It's just a swivel side to side, which is kind of disappointing. I would have loved there to have been some posability up and down, but oh well. And lastly, no heels. The figure has no freaking heels. Would that have been so hard? And otherwise, his legs are just absolutely gigantic. It's like he's got giant robo boots. You've got these tiny, thin thighs, and then big honking feet. It's really weird. Here is Motormaster with a couple of other baddies. We got Prime, we got Blitzwing. Everyone's decked out in purple. So nice. And then here is Combiner Wars Motormaster with our new Motormaster. I like the new one better. Even with the weird feet, I really like the look of the new one better. It scales better to other characters, and it just actually looks like Motormaster as opposed to whatever they were going for here. Because of the heel issue, he can't really pull off a lot of poses. This is kind of the best I can get. And he comes with a giant sword, which I do appreciate. I like the giant sword. His gun, however, is real dumb because there's no single center point that he can grab onto. He has to hold the gun on one of the side barrels, and so does the combine mode, which I think is really stupid. I would have loved him to come with one more gun. Just a smaller gun would have been preferable. The base mode is okay. It's just okay. I get what they're going for. I'm glad it's there, but it doesn't connect to anything. There are no connectors on any of these bits. You can't connect this set to anything. Hell, Cybertron Metroplex, the Titan class figure that just came out, has city connector bits. And this guy doesn't? Alright, let's go ahead and get into the combine mode. To start off with, pull the gun off, pull the tower off, put those off to the side. Grab the outer bits that will form the legs, and, well, flip that up, put it down. Do the same thing on the other side. Congrats, you've transformed the legs. Which leg is which? Doesn't really matter. They'll connect both the same way. The pegs go on the inside according to the box and the directions, so I'll leave it at that. What's going to happen when you combine one up? Well, there's a big button up here that they push that closes these doors. That's a really clean look once it's done. And then you can take the whole leg and turn it around also. So you have options here. Unpeg the side parts that will form the arms, come down to the chest, turn it around 180 degrees, and then we got the front of the chest. Flip down this little purple part, and then just put this off to the side for right now. For the arms, fold them back up, connect them in, flip out the fists, and then just put them off to the side for right now. Like so. Come down to Motormaster and first fold up the fists into the forearms. I find turning them and then folding them in works a little bit better for me. Like that. Then grab the backpack and unpeg it, flip it up all the way around to the front. Take the shoulders, fold them up like so. Then come to the head and pull the head backwards. And then shimmy the Menasor head up from the chest and peg it into place. Flip Motormaster's head in, close it up, bring it down and snap it in. Come to the back of the figure and take the wheels and fold them so that these little pegs are pointing up. That'll become apparent why in just a second. Grab the shoulders and butterfly them backwards, and then turn the arms in, and there are peg holes at the bottom of the wrists that will peg into these little butterflied sections. Like that. Do the same thing on both sides, and they should hold together. Doesn't look great, but it'll hold together. The next step is a little bit tricky, so first take the legs and turn them around 180 degrees. Turn the foot so that the foot is pointing towards the inside of the legs. Come to the back of the leg and open it up, and then collapse the leg all the way in, or the knee all the way in, until it's flush, and you can close this section up again. like that. So it's going to be kind of angled like this. And then this whole section will fold up. There's a peg here that'll go in that slot. And there's a peg on the back of the shoulder joint that will go to the back of the vehicle mode. Just get that lined up and getting that snapped into place. It is satisfying, but it is also a little bit scary because it makes a really loud crunching sound that doesn't exactly, sound very confident. Then fold up the panel, snap that into place, grab the top of the vehicle mode, and fold that down to cover up the hinges in the crotch. And that's what you'll end up with. Now, do the other side. And here we have the head unit for Motormaster. This whole section will slot into the chest and thigh or upper thigh component. Big holes here on the back will peg into or get pegged into by these big knobs. And you just got to get things lined up, pushed into place. Then turn the figure around and flip up that purple little panel because that will peg into the peg hole in the back of the robot mode. And then these gray pieces will flip up and just kind of snap onto the outer wheels. And then that toe area will unpeg, flip down, and peg into place. And that's what the arms will connect to. So for a leg, like that, a leg, like that. Haha! The arms are incredibly cool. We've got drag strip here. He will peg in to the peg holes that are pegs that are there, and then that pushes the button internally that allows you to snap it in half and fold out the shoulder, fold out the lower arm, flip up the wheels, and then slide the arm into place. And that slides down like that. And slide that into place. And we're pretty much done. We just got to give him his sword and his gun. And here we have the most G1 accurate official Hasbro release Menasor we've ever had. Cartoon accurate, too. That head sculpt is amazing. I love it. And the overall aesthetic of the figure is great. Yes, it could use a little bit more paint, but I'm okay with that. Look at all that molding in the chest. Look at that head sculpt. Look at that purple crotch. Everything about it just oozes Decepticon gestalt, and I'm so happy for it. And for those of you wondering, yes, you can kit him out with some Combiner Wars limbs, even if it doesn't look right proportionally. However, you cannot give Menasor or any of the other cores a limb section because, well, there's just this little tiny tab right here that gets in the way. If you get another Motormaster and you file down the tabs, yes, that'll work, but otherwise, for now, it's not really doing anything. Unfortunately, my Motormaster suffers from what I'm calling the leans. He just leans forward consistently. I haven't been able to figure out a way to keep him from doing that. The legs, especially these rear bits, don't seem to offer, they're heels, obviously, but they don't seem to want to allow him to not lean forward. So I end up having to do one ratchet back in order to keep him from leaning forward. Not the biggest deal in the world, but it is a bit of a disappointment. And speaking of disappointments, you have an entire freaking tower that you can't do anything with. You can't attach it to him, you can't have a Decepticon ride it, it doesn't do anything. It just sits here like a piece of Tripticon that the big Dinobot forgot. And of course, while I'm in the process of reviewing and editing this figure, DNA Designs has released or announced that they are creating an upgrade kit for Menasor. It adds a bunch of extra bits and it adds some kibble to make the tower into a giant Gatling gun. Yeah, I'm going to be picking this one up. Legacy Menasor does scale pretty well with Combiner Wars Menasor, but as you can see, there is a cohesiveness to the new set that the old set definitely lacks. And scale comparisons continue with Leader Class Studio Series Sludge, Magic Square Menasor, Siege Jetfire, and something that's a lot bigger, Titan Class Predaking. Overall, my thoughts on Motormaster are positive, quite positive. I'm looking forward to the rest of the set, and I'm very curious to see what Hasbro does with other combiners going forward. Legacy has already stepped into other lines, and it sounds like we're going to be moving into the Unicron trilogy starting later this year with Armada Starscream. So that opens the door potentially for some revisits to some combiners that, quite frankly, did not get a lot of love back in the day. I'm looking at you, Superion from Energon. So folks, let me know what you think of Menasor and Motormaster down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I have been Baltmatrix, and I'll catch you all next time.